Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rodolfo D. Lastimosa Jr., and I am the proud president of the RNAO's Nursing Students of Ontario Interest Group, better known as NSO, and the student representative at RNAO's Board of Directors. We would like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. We recognize that our work and the work of our members takes place on traditional Indigenous territories across Ontario. We also wish to acknowledge that the office of the RNAO is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This territory was the subject of the Dish with One Spoon, One Spoon Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We also recognize that the participants of the RNAO's AGM are located in other traditional lands across Ontario. Today, this land is still the home to many First Nations, Inuit and Métis people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have opportunity to work on this territory. By personally thanking or making a land acknowledgement, you are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage, which dates back over 10,000 years. We encourage you to learn about the land you reside and and treaties that are attached to it. Land acknowledgement are an act of reconciliation, and we must all do our part. I want to thank you all for joining us today for this session hosted by NSO entitled Blazing New Trails as Student Leaders. I would also like to thank our sponsors for this event, Care Partners. I would like to recognize the many students, educators, and mentors who have joined us this afternoon. We thank you for inspiring students to learn about our profession and about our amazing professional association, RNAO. I'd also like to recognize RNAO President Morgan Hoffart, our CEO, Dr. Doris Grinspoon, RNAO's board members and past presidents who are in attendance today, as well as the representatives from other nursing organizations. The theme for this year's AGM is protecting Ontarians and leading change, nurses and RNAO during COVID-19. This year has highlighted the incredible leadership of nurses and nursing students in delivering and advocating for better care for their patients and the public during this pandemic, and the role of RNAO and its member advocating for healthy public policies to protect nurses and the public. In the toughest of times, we have come together, persevered, and continued to provide the best possible care for our patients. During this session, we will look at the different ways that students have adapted and blazed new trails as leaders in a time of many unknowns. We will also be presenting the RNAO's Recognition Awards for Student of Distinction and the Leadership Award in Student Mentorship this afternoon. I am pleased to introduce our speakers for today. NSO executive members Megan Wood, our Vice President, Rachel Raddick, our committee coordinators, and Chantal Bernes Leadbeater, the Policy and the Political Action Officer. Megan Wood is the Vice President of the Nursing Students of Ontario, or NSO, RNAO Interest Group. She graduated from the second entry Bachelor of Nursing program from University of New Brunswick, Humber College, collaborative program in December 2020. Megan became an RN in March 2021 after successfully passing her NCLEX. She currently works in research with a pharmaceutical company as a telehealth nurse for COVID-19 testing. Rachel Raddick, preferred pronouns are she, her. She's an Indigenous woman with background being Anishinaabe from Georgina Island and part settler. Rachel is one of the committee coordinators of the Nursing Students of Ontario, where she advocated for the creation of an Indigenous student seat on executive team. She is also one of the founders of the Indigenous Nurses and Allies Interest Group, or INAIG, within the RNAO. In addition, she is also the director of the Indigenous Health Advocacy for the Canadian Nursing Students Association. She is a registered practical nurse with experience working in acute care, research, and Indigenous health. She recently graduated from Ontario Tech for the RPN to BSc and Bridge program and has a degree in communication from Carleton University. She has a passion for Indigenous health. Recently, she has been hired as the Indigenous patient navigator for the Waterloo Wellington area, assisting with the coordination and administration of COVID vaccine for the urban Indigenous population in a culturally aware and safe space. Rachel also has created her own business 4D&I, or 4 Direction Nursing Interventions, where she provides webinars, health teaching, and nursing consultation from Indigenous lens. Rachel believes of nursing students being active and advocating for Indigenous health. Chantal Burns Leadbeater, preferred pronouns are she and her. Chantal is the Policy and Political Action Officer of the Nursing Students of Ontario, NSO, where she formulated and created the resolutions that will be presented at the AGM on behalf of the NSO. She also updated bylaws with the NSO while supporting change within the organization. She will be filling the Policy and Political Action Officer role in the Indigenous Nurses and Allies Interest Group, or INAIG, this coming year as one of the supporting founding members. She is a registered practical nurse with experience in mental health and acute care. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Chantal worked on and has helped to facilitate the creation of the isolation program within her hospital, where she has been exclusively working since last March. She is a recent honors graduate from Ontario Tech for the RPN to BSc and Bridge program, and Chantal believes that nursing students becoming involved within schools and nursing organization is a way to develop advocacy skills and is of benefit both the individual and the profession as a whole. Please join me in welcoming our speakers for this afternoon.
Miigwech for the introduction, Rodolfo, and for the land acknowledgement. I'm just going to introduce myself quickly in Anishinaabe Mowin. So, Ani Bojo, Wabano Kwe and Dishnakaz, Anishinaabe Kwe and Dao, Georgina Island, Nudojaba, Waterloo Indaya. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Raddick, and I'm an Anishinaabe woman and proud member of the Chippewas of Georgina Island. I currently live in Waterloo, which is situated on the Haldman Tract and is the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples. I take time to introduce myself in my traditional language as a part of reclaiming my culture and language, but also because my ancestors were not allowed to do so. As an RPN working in Indigenous health, and recently finishing my BSCN, where Chantal and I will be graduating today in a few hours. So that's pretty exciting. As a nursing student, I began to truly find my calling in leadership by being involved in leadership roles within my school, the RNAO, and the Canadian Nursing Students Association. I'm one of the chairs and the founders of the Indigenous Nurses and Allies Group, INAG for short, and I was given the honor of being selected by my peers as the valedictorian of our graduating class and awarded the Student Leadership Award. Now, I always make one thing clear, and that's that I didn't get here on my own. Much like nursing, leadership is all about being a part of a team and supporting each other. And I truly felt that from my fellow co-panelists and every other person who has uplifted me on my nursing journey. And I'm so grateful for everyone who's been involved. I'm here standing while sitting virtually here before you today because others believed in me, inspired me, and amplified my voice. And in turn, I have a passion and decided to do the same for others. We need more strong healthcare leaders, and I hope that our discussion today brings that to light. Miigwech.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan, and thank you for attending our student leadership presentation. I graduated with a Bachelor of Nursing in December, and I became an RN in March this year after writing my NCLEX exam. I currently work in oncology clinical trial research full-time with a pharmaceutical company, and I also work part-time as a telehealth nurse assisting with COVID-19 home testing. I just completed my term as the Vice President of the RNAO Nursing Students of Ontario. Prior to this year, I held the position of committee coordinator with the NSO last year. I'm honored to be speaking to you all today, along with my amazing colleagues, Rachel and Chantal, who I had the pleasure of working with on the NSO board with over the past year.
Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here for this presentation and for participating in the AGM this year. Since Rodolfo already introduced me, I'll keep it nice and short. My name is Chantal, and I'm currently a practicing RPN in mental health and acute care. I also recently finished my BSCN. I was the Policy and Political Action Officer for the NSO, and I will be the Policy and Political Action Officer as well as one of the co-founders of the Indigenous Nurses and Allies Interest Group. As a student, it took me longer to get involved in the school and in extracurriculars, and if it wasn't for Rachel, our co-presenter here today, I likely would not have gotten involved in any capacity. Having that proactive friend who told me about opportunities, who really explained and encouraged the importance of becoming involved as a student, is what led me to speaking to you here. This conversation is also important as not everyone has that friend who will show you leadership opportunities or who will encourage you. The hope is that this talk today will motivate you to seek nursing leadership roles so that you can feel empowered to be that friend, that you can be that leader for somebody else. So we're going to go and talk a little bit about how student leadership helped shape our postgraduate nursing career paths. And I believe that speaking to what a leader is always a good segue into how these positions have shaped my career. Before last year, nursing leadership was a difficult thing for me to tangibly put into words. We all hear the terms in school as we research nursing theories, and I'm pretty sure we've all had a course titled leadership at some point or another in our education that inevitably involved group work and a paper of some sort. This term can be difficult because we may believe that in order to be a nurse leader, you need to be in traditional roles, such as a manager or a nurse educator. However, this role is multifaceted across workplaces and across nurses. The Canadian Nurses Association recognizes nurse leadership to encompass mentoring, coaching, supporting, rewarding, and attracting other leaders. So without knowing it, I am a leader in my current workplace as I train new staff members as well as students. I help to support the team to ensure good patient outcomes, and I contribute to organizational change with COVID this year. I would encourage you all at some point today to take a minute and think about how you lead in your nursing practice or as a student. Do you help others? Do you lead those dreaded group projects? Are you supportive? Do you practice with integrity? Do you speak up? Doing all of these things makes you a leader. As a student these past few years, I have had the opportunity to really develop my leadership skills and carve out what I wanted my leadership roles to look like. As I mentioned a little earlier, I was the Policy and Political Action Officer within NSO, and this role afforded me the opportunity to engage students from across the province. Some of you might have received my emails, to find areas of growth identified by students and needed by students. In turn, this information led to the creation of resolutions that will be presented at the AGM this afternoon. Both resolutions were calling for political change. The first was to call to have all nursing student placements be deemed essential, and the second resolution was to have the calls to action as presented by the Truth and Reconciliation Committee upheld by requesting the RNAO to advocate on students' behalf to the CNO to have mandatory Indigenous education courses included in every nursing program. With the current political climate, especially the truth about residential schools and their devastating impact on national news, being an advocate for change is the ethical thing to be doing. Now, these resolutions might seem like a small step compared to the substantial issues at hand, but big changes are really just collections of small steps, and you as nursing students can be the first to take those steps. It was nursing students who led the creation of INAG. It was the students within the NSO advocating for a more inclusive and diverse environment. It was students who put forth these resolutions. It is students speaking up in school. These are all small steps that will help to foster big change. My experience this past year, especially the NSO role, helped to shape my new idea of what I want my career to be, what I would like to support, what I would like to change, and what I would like to accomplish. I found a passion in all the research, paperwork, and legal intricacies of the position, which was completely the opposite of what I thought I would enjoy. By having this experience, I know I want to be involved in policy and regulation with a particular interest in political advocacy. In the future, I envision myself with the CNO and RNAO, as well as the members of government, to help better nursing and healthcare. I do also intend to complete graduate studies for my continued education. I want to help be an agent of change, taking the necessary small steps to help expand access to care, to help develop better cultural humility and competency in nursing, and to facilitate organizational change. I have taken my first step with the Indigenous Nurses and Allies Interest Group. What will be your step?
Being a leader has shaped my postgraduate path and career in nursing in so many ways. When I reflect on my journey and I look at my achievements as a leader, I wonder what I did differently to get to that path. And the answer is one simple thing. I believed in myself. I believed in my own voice. And I surrounded myself with positive people who would uplift me. I believe that sometimes as students or new grads, we develop imposter syndrome, not only in our confidence of our own skills, but in the confidence of our own voice and leadership capabilities. However, I quickly realized on my leadership journey that every nursing student, including myself, has these skills. We just have to believe in ourselves and our voice. I have been so lucky to be surrounded by so many strong nurses and Indigenous people who have believed in me and my voice. They saw the potential that I had and encouraged me. With that safe space and encouragement, I continued to push myself out of my comfort zone, taking on leadership roles until I found something I really wanted to change. And that was having a safe space for Indigenous nurses, students, and allies within the RNAO. I find that currently, now, this might seem like it was easier said than done, but there were a lot of barriers that came with making an interest group as a student. I had to find current voting members within the RNAO to support the group. We had to create an executive team. We had to create a mission statement and values, and finally collect all those signatures of support, all while handling working as an RPN and working on our BSCN during a global pandemic. The amount of support that we received for INAG was absolutely overwhelming, but it also served as an indicator of how much INAG was needed. Now that INAG is here, we will work to uplift the voices of Indigenous nurses, students, and educate and support our allies. We cannot stand in silence as enduring disparities, violence, and racism of Indigenous people continues, and now more than ever, we need to keep the conversation going and demand change. Stepping up and continually to develop these leadership skills within myself, I've been able to do what I've always dreamed of doing, and that is working in Indigenous health. Being a leader has created and helped me so much as I took on the role of an Indigenous nurse to create a culturally aware and safe space for urban Indigenous folks to receive their COVID vaccines. Being a student leader gave me the confidence to work side by side with community organizations to make sure the clinic ran smoothly and safely for our Indigenous clients. Being a student leader allowed me to really find my voice, gain my confidence in public speaking, by participating in webinars and also learning how to do professional correspondence. But lastly, being a leader not only impacted my career, but it has changed my entire life. It has allowed me to connect with my own culture and my community, which has in turn helped me to continue on my journey of self-discovery.
Throughout much of my life, I've often regarded myself as a leader. Sports have always played a very large part of my life, and more often than not, I've been a captain or assistant captain on my various sporting teams. My leadership traits on the hockey rink, volleyball court, basketball court, or softball diamond have translated well through nursing school and my career. As a child, I was always quite shy, but I loved sports and I wanted to take on a leadership role despite this shyness. The confidence that I gained by being a leader in sports helped grow my confidence in all aspects of my life. This confidence led me to speak up for issues that my nursing school peers and I felt needed addressing throughout my education. It led me to speak up and ask questions when I felt unsure of my skills in clinical placement. It also led me to advocate for patients and speak up if I knew something could be improved for patients' well-being. Being a student leader definitely helped shape my postgraduate career path. The confidence I gained helped me to apply to jobs that I believed I deserved and that I could handle. My leadership roles helped develop my communication skills. These communication skills, in turn, helped me succeed in job interviews. Finally, my experience in leadership roles gave me solid examples to use in job interviews. It is evident that my student leadership opportunities helped advance me through the beginning of my career.
So why is getting involved in student leadership roles so important? For myself, getting involved in leadership roles is essential because having nursing leaders, in turn, as Chantel said, creates those small steps to facilitate change. If there is one thing that these last 2 years have taught us, it's that we need more strong leaders. We need more change makers in nursing. And I understand that getting involved in leadership can be overwhelming, but I can assure you that that first step is the hardest and the scariest part. Two of the most rewarding experience I have ever had as a leader is inspiring others to take on leadership roles, as my good friend Chantel mentioned before, and also seeing my own vision that I had to create INEG become a reality. Nurses are such inspiring, powerful, and intelligent people, and we have the ability to inspire others as leaders. Getting involved in leadership roles allowed me to connect with my colleagues, faculty, opened up job opportunities for me, and allowed me to connect with myself. Getting involved in these student organizations allowed me to make connections with elders, nursing educators, and in turn opened up opportunities for me to continue to develop as a leader as an Indigenous healthcare provider. Some of these connections I made in my leadership roles have developed into lifelong friendships, career opportunities, and further leadership positions as I transition into my RN role. Working as an RPN while completing my BSCN, I began to discover my strengths as a nursing leader and developing my voice. Being involved in leadership roles allowed me to discover I had more power than I realized to facilitate change, and began to work with my colleagues to make those changes happen. Getting involved taught me how to use my voice and advocate for Indigenous health, nursing students, my patients, and for change. I was able to use these skills I learned to develop my own webinars, speak on podcasts to raise awareness for Indigenous health. This eventually led me to be inspired to advocate for a group for Indigenous nurses within the RNAO and an Indigenous nursing seat in NSO, where I saw the potential to increase representation of Indigenous people within the RNAO, and worked hard with my executive teams to make these visions a reality. Most recently, I've seen these skills come together while I've been working with the Indigenous Health Organization I work for to immunize members of the urban Indigenous population within the city I work in. I acted not only as a nurse, but as a leader of Indigenous representation, making sure to educate staff safely to work with Indigenous clients, setting up a culturally aware and safe space, and working with management to make sure there was open communication between the organizations when changes needed to be made. Stepping into this role as a new BSCN grad was truly made possible because of the leadership skills and confidence I developed while getting involved, and will truly have a lasting impact on my career.
I am very grateful for the leadership roles that I've held through my nursing education career. My involvement with the RNAO has granted me many interactions with nurses in various roles. The RNAO has held various sessions with a variety of speakers that have introduced me to the many different roles and career paths that nurses can take. Hearing nurses speak about their leadership roles and their different career paths has left a mark on me and inspired me to pursue various nursing career options. One main thing that I've noticed among all the successful nurses that I've had the pleasure of interacting with through the RNAO are their leadership qualities. Chantel mentioned the qualities of a leader, and I can't help but recognize that all of the nurses that have impacted me have the qualities of mentoring, coaching, supporting, rewarding, and attracting other leaders. The inspiration that I felt from listening to nurse leaders shows that leaders definitely do attract other leaders. I believe that this point is so important because if students are exposed to positive leaders, I would hope that many feel motivated to help to also become leaders in their own lives and careers. Being a part of the RNAO's NSO has been such a positive aspect of my life over the past 2 years, and I am truly grateful for the opportunities that it has led me to. This past year, our team held many webinars for students to interact with various nursing leaders, and I have no doubt that these interactions left a positive impact on the students. I am sure that the current and future NSO members will continue to inspire and help create for future nursing leaders.
Thank you, Megan. I would also like to focus on 2 reasons why I believe that getting involved as a student is important. The first reason being, as a student nurse in leadership roles, you have the opportunity to learn and to develop advocacy skills for your patients, your profession, and yourselves. Being an advocate is both a dynamic and required role for students and nurses. It involves social justice, speaking up, instituting policy changes, supporting those changes, and collaboration with others. It can look like speaking up for a vulnerable patient about their care goals, working together with the healthcare team to create policy changes, and sharing our collective knowledge to better patient outcomes. As a nurse, you're spending such a large amount of time with the patient, and your input is valuable into what would be beneficial and what would be harmful. By stepping into this advocacy role, you are leading, and when nurses lead, patients and workplaces are safer. The ability to be confident in advocating is not something that is inherently possessed by everyone. And like sports, art, or succeeding on your registration exam, it needs practice. A strong advocate is developing their opportunities to practice, to engage, and to foster it in others. By getting involved in organizations, committees, and taking advantage of leadership roles as a student, you get to practice this skill. You have the opportunity to learn from other nurse leaders, to build confidence, to develop skills required to be an effective advocate and leader, as well as the space to grow. Nurses, now more than ever, need to take charge of leading in healthcare, and being effective advocates is how we get there. The second point I would like to bring up is that when you take on leadership roles as a student, you will learn how to develop healthy boundaries that will serve you well through school and your postgraduate endeavors. As a new graduate, it can be difficult to say no and set boundaries. You are thrust into a unique position of responsibility, and you want to set a good example for yourself. You want to set a good example for your unit. You don't want to let anyone down. You will skip breaks to try to complete every aspect of your patient's care, but by doing so, you risk burnout. You compromise your patient's safety, and you could potentially risk the license that you are working so hard to obtain right now. By being involved as a student, I developed confidence just with how I developed advocacy. Setting healthy boundaries, like ensuring you are taking your breaks, ensuring you are taking days off, putting your mental health first, and knowing when to take a step back are all important. When you first start to develop these boundaries, it can feel challenging and overwhelming, but establishing this skill early will prove preventative for burnout, for the emotional, physical, and sometimes spiritual work that nursing involves. Being a student leader provides a forum for this. Being involved in committees, groups, extracurriculars, and leading school projects are all learning experience of yourself, and you can develop what a healthy boundary means to you and practice setting them. Having nursing students, new graduates, and even expert nurses being confident and skilled in advocacy and healthy boundary setting will be of benefit to not only you as individuals, but to the profession as a whole. It will help lay the groundwork for less toxic workplaces, a safer environment to practice in, and real political change for nursing as a profession. Which leads me into why it is so important to uplift nursing students in nursing and leadership roles. I spoke very, very briefly about what nursing burnout is and what are some strategies that you can use, but these occur even in the absence of a pandemic. The RNAO put out a survey this past January, February, and it found that over 95% of respondents stated the pandemic affected their work and included either high or very high stress levels. Another disturbing trend is that 13% of RNs aged between 26 years and 35 years are likely to leave the profession when the pandemic is over. An independent survey suggested that nearly 1/3 of RPNs are considering leaving the profession post-pandemic. I know at one of my places of work, many RPNs and RNs have already left or taken leave, and chronic short staffing is an issue. As students, it is so important for your voices to be heard. It is so incredibly imperative that you become nursing leaders and help to advocate for the profession. You are the next generation of nursing. You are the future of the Ontario nursing profession, and having your voices heard and uplifted is of utmost importance. Policy changes, staffing levels, support, wages, all of these chronic issues need strong leaders if the profession is to retain new nurses and adapt the healthcare profession post-pandemic. The world is always changing, and the profession of nursing must change with it. Not too long ago, we were thought of doctor's assistants without being recognized as the unique, complex, evidence-based profession that we are. More changes are in the future, and what better place for change to begin than with students? Each one of you holds a unique perspective, your own distinct lived experiences, which can be beneficial to the field. Canada is becoming more and more a diverse world community, and right now, there's a lack of this diversity in powerful positions. Having student leaders of all backgrounds is crucial, as this provides an accurate representation of the population that we care for. Utilizing knowledge from all cultures helps us to develop culturally appropriate care and stand up to foundational issues in the healthcare system, thereby bettering the profession and minimizing the current elitism and systemic racism.
Miigwech, Chantal, we also just wanted to highlight a few things that you can do to uplift your fellow nursing leaders. So one of those first points is to listen to the ideas of nursing students and your colleagues. It's essential. Speaking out about a topic means that an individual is thinking about it. Shutting down that student could have a lasting impression and cause them to be discouraged, as they could feel that they have no voice. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every idea is a good idea, because I think we have all had some pretty bad ideas. But having those thoughts are thought-provoking and inspiring conversations that you can have with your colleagues and students, and this is essential. It is always easier to cut down a plant, but if you put the work in, you can let it flourish, and you get so much more of a rewarding and fruitful result. And the same goes when listening to our youth. Our second point is empowering and helping create for future nursing leaders. It is so important to empower and inspire nursing students. I can't imagine how my life would be different if I would have not had the friends, family, or colleagues who believed in me and empowered me to continually grow. To be honest, if I didn't have those people in my life, I probably wouldn't be on this Zoom call today, and I don't even know if I would be a nurse for that matter. It is not difficult to create positive spaces where we can empower others and where nursing students are able to speak out, and we should be the ones to amplify their voices. We also want to discuss about breaking the stigma. So the stigma that I'm discussing here is breaking the stigma surrounding being a nursing student or a new graduate. This one personally hits very close to home for me. I can remember my very first nursing job where I passed the CPRNE and I was an RPN, and several staff members asking how long I'd be a nurse for. And when I stated that I was a new grad, their tone changed. They no longer had an interest, and I was treated as if I was almost not even a nurse. As an RPN practicing and working with BSCN students, I sometimes experienced that I was looked down upon, or that my experiences as an RPN didn't matter. And that is a long-lasting stigma that we need to obliterate. The pandemic has taught us we need solidarity more than ever. I believe that students sometimes feel they don't believe they have that power to make a difference or to change as a nursing student, and you're afraid to speak up. But we need to develop these students, and we need to support them, and we need to believe in them. We need to stop the divisions and all work as a team for the safety of ourselves, our colleagues, students, and our patients.
Taking on a leadership role as a student is a great time to start because it allows students to develop their leadership qualities while in a safe space. By developing these qualities in a safe space, students should be able to continue to practice their skills when they enter a new and unfamiliar setting, such as their first nursing job or a novel nursing situation. This should also translate well to confidence when entering the workforce. This confidence can help new grad nurses stand up for themselves and have the courage to ask for help as needed. This should also help prevent new grad nurses from feeling as though they are experiencing nurses eating their young.
So in conclusion to our presentation, we want to say miigwech and thank you for listening to our stories and for being a part of our leadership nursing journey. We are only 3 individuals who took on nursing leadership roles as students. Imagine how many amazing leaders we could empower to change nursing in the future. All you need to do is listen, uplift, and empower ourselves, students, and colleagues. Together, we can continue to make positive changes in nursing and be the leaders of that change. Miigwech.
We do have some questions in the Q&A box, and just a reminder to attendees, if you have any questions, please enter you're free to enter them now. So the first question is, absolutely loved listening to you all. I'm a past NSO president and recall it was not easy to be involved with RNO and attend events as a nursing student, especially during clinical placements. What hurdles, if any, did you experience as a nursing student to become involved with NSO and other leadership roles outside of school? What can be done to address these challenges?
Chantal, you look like you want to go.
Yeah, I just did a weird thing, sorry. So I absolutely agree. It has been sometimes very challenging to find leadership roles or people who would be willing to accept students into those leadership roles. I found that especially poignant since I've been an RPN for 5 years, and then to come in as a BSCN student and to be basically told that my experiences were not valid, or that I'm new, I don't know what I'm doing, which, you know, could technically be true in some aspects, but that's what we were really talking about, is really listening to us. Don't take the moment to, you know, slash us down. This is a whole societal change in what we think of nursing. Like, I remember graduating from my RPN and was told, you know, watch out, nurses eat their young. And we just need to change that thinking. If we don't want to have a mass exodus of nurses, we need to support one another. We're all literally in this together. We're all doing, well, not all, but we're doing patient care. We're doing webinars like this. We're reaching out. We need to respect each other.
I think also to add to that, you know, taking on leadership roles while being a nursing student, it is difficult, but it is so rewarding to do so. And it does take a little bit of, you know, that fine balance and that planning and being really organized, but those are all amazing aspects that will help you in your career as well. You know, multitasking directly can be reflected upon how you deliver your patient care and how you prioritize that patient care. And the same goes for prioritizing leadership roles and knowing how to set those boundaries. You know, school comes first. We all know school comes first, but you take that time and you do what you can with that role and when you're available to do so. We're never gonna, you know, and I think that was one great thing, is that we all understood that and we were all in it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so the NSO is completely student run. So since we're all students, we all understand what each other is going through. So I found it was quite easy to work with everyone's schedule because everyone was super understanding. And, you know, we tried our best to plan everything ahead of schedule. So just working on a team that's 100% students, that was super helpful and beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next question is from Barbara Anderson. And Barbara says, do you find that virtual platforms enable students to participate in leadership forums more easily?
So speaking from my experience, I would say that virtually it has been a little easier because, you know, you can do everything from home. You know, doing things and planning things virtually may take more work. There's a ton of work that has to go into things. I'm sure that all of the organizers of the AGM can attest to that. But it definitely does open way more opportunities for leadership roles, and it gives you more time to be able to take on those roles. And I think, it even gives students a little bit more encouragement to do so, because it's virtual and there may be, I don't want to say that they have to put in less effort, but they don't have to, worry about having to go meet somewhere in person. Everything is just creating that really good foundational communication to make sure that you can take on those roles.
And I found this year, yeah, especially with accessibility, it's been a little bit better. So if you can always pop onto like a webinar on your breakout work. You can always pop on kind of wherever you are. And for those that might be less likely to speak up or less likely to participate for social anxiety reasons or what have you, it gives you the opportunity to engage more anonymously, but you're still getting the benefit of it.
Yeah, I would agree with everything. And even I remember we had a webinar for the students this year, and I think it started at 7:30 and my clinical placement ended at 7. So on my drive home from my clinical shift, I got to listen to the webinar instead of listening to a podcast or listening to music. So definitely that is one benefit of a lot of this stuff being virtual, is being able to access it much more easily.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to enter those into the Q&A box right now. Or any of our panelists can unmute your line and ask a question. We have one more question from Barbara Anderson, and she says, I feel the pandemic has shifted us all more and more virtual platforms, and something we should consider post-pandemic. Would you agree?
I definitely wholeheartedly agree. I think that, it's more accessible for students, and, it gives more students the opportunity to be involved, and that's what we want. So I wholeheartedly agree that post-pandemic, having more accessibility is essential, and having these roles be more virtual is imperative.
And I would agree with what Rachel's saying, just with caution that student placement shouldn't be virtual exclusively.
Yeah.
That's one caveat. But yeah, having the opportunity to have a mix of both in person and online, it caters to a wider range of people, and people can do it comfortable for them, and they're more likely to be engaged.
I have a question, if I may. First of all, congratulations for graduating. And
Thank you.
I'm so very proud of you.
Oh.
Tremendously proud. A question, not meaning to be a challenge, and then another question, not meaning to be a challenge.
Okay.
One is three beautiful panelists. I would have liked to see a fourth that was a Black nurse. That's number one. Purposefully, if we don't do the changes purposefully, they don't happen, right? So that is with, and I can tell you that I know, for example, Ola would have been fantastic. I know her because she has participated in the Black Nurses Task Force, and she would have shared some probably important comments. Also, in the go forward, perhaps a Muslim nurse, I think will be, I think the more diversity you can include, the healthier for nursing as a profession. That's number one, and it's a comment, and would love to hear your answer. One more so that you can tackle both together, different people. Two of you started as RPNs, right? And what difference has made to become an RN, if any?
So I think that one of the main differences from bridging from the RPN to the BSDN program for myself was that I gained that experience and that opportunity to really find out what I liked in nursing, but then be able to kind of put all those pieces together to really hit the ground running when it came to taking on nursing leadership roles. I learned a lot of those foundational skills already. Not that I didn't have to work really hard in classes, but I knew that I already had that good foundation, and I was able to challenge myself to do more. And, you know, I completely agree with what you said, that we do need more diversity within the RNAO and in NSO. And I think that we didn't even think about not including people that were within the NSO group. And I think that, you know, we're taking those small steps to have more diversity, and the Indigenous student seat was a first big step. But I really wholeheartedly agree, we need to uplift all those voices of the BIPOC community and any marginalized communities, and we need to continue to do that good work.
Mhm.
I think the key word here is intentionality, because there are many students that are Black in NSO. So it's not that we don't have them, and also Muslim, and we have them. So you mean in the executive, maybe?
Yes, in the executive, sorry.
That's different. That I understand. Yeah, I think intentionality is important. I think it sends a message. It sends a message. We are in postings now, putting that in postings for RNO in-house staff even, right? So, and I think I can't wait to see the future pictures of our own staff and the diversity. Not that we didn't have it before, but proportionally. And I think if we are going to fix this country, forget about nursing, this country, we need to be, RNO has a lot of power, and NSO has a lot of power, and we need to be intentional in all the use of our power. And thank you. That was a great answer. Thank you. Appreciated that.
So we have one last question, and it's from Ruth Lee. So Ruth says, congratulations for launching your career again as RNs. When I see you, I see hope in nursing. Having those rather unpleasant experiences as a student, what advice would you give students should they encounter the same treatment as yours? Now that you're on the other side of the fence, what advice would you give though? And for RNs, what advice would you give those offenders?
So I take on a lot of students at my place of work, RK and BSN students, kind of whoever is around, because I love students, been there. And have a good experience, and sometimes personalities just don't match up, but it does become an advocacy part for yourself as a student if you are having issues with whoever you're paired with, because if there's a personality clash that will happen anywhere that you go. You can always advocate for yourself and be like, hey, you know what, maybe me and this nurse are not the best partners. But I know as a student, it's so hard to have that conversation. It is, because you feel like you have no power to say anything and you just have to sit there and take it. But we need to change, right? So as new RNs coming in, I think one of our big things is really just going to be encouraging our colleagues, like if you don't want a student, just don't offer yourself as a preceptor in the workplace, because I find that's happened quite often, because they do get a little extra money, which is part of the reason why they're accepting them. But don't take that role if you're not intending to teach. And if you're not going to be patient and you're not going to take the time to help the student who might be your coworker next year, you don't know.
Thank you. And that is all of the questions.
I think you have another question. I'm looking at the chat, Ifra. Natalia Kosandova, who by the way was also a student here at RNO before she went into politics.
Yeah, so Natalia's question is, what was your reason for choosing nursing as a career, and what motivates you to be voices for nursing students in Ontario?
So one of the reasons that I decided to be a nurse and what motivated me to be a nurse is my mom is actually a nurse. We graduated from the same, we both are Conestoga College graduates. So she's a proud registered nurse and RNAO member. But I just saw how fulfilled she was always with the work that she did, how much love and care she put into the profession. And I wanted to follow in those footsteps. So I went on my journey to become a registered nurse. It wasn't an easy journey. It was a long journey. It took about 10 years for me to figure out where I wanted to go education-wise. But I think now what really inspires me to be a leader is that when I first vocalized that I wanted to be a nurse, and this is dating myself a little bit here, I would be about 15 sitting in the guidance counselor's office. And I was gently encouraged to stick to the Englishes or histories because I wasn't smart enough to be a nurse. So I think it's so important to have that voice to encourage people to create those safe spaces, because in the beginning, I was denied those opportunities, and I don't want anyone to have those experiences. And I want to be able to support students however we can.
And for myself, I was really sick as a kid. I spent a lot of time in hospital, and I've had some incredible nurses look after me. And they were kind of my inspiration to go in the first place at age 18 to university and kind of start my career that way. And as RPN, I didn't really get involved too much in terms of leadership until I met Rachel during this degree program, and she really encouraged and told me the importance of, hey, being an advocate, being a leader, this is how we make change, and this is how we can really help our profession. And so I took that, got into NSO, because she was like, hey, they're doing a by-election, you should apply. And that opened so many doors and so many other avenues. And I'm realizing that a lot needs to change. A lot needs support to change. And if I can in some small way be a part of political change for the nursing profession, I'm going to do it.
I want, Megan, you're next, right?
Yeah, I just had something quick I wanted to say. So my aunt, she was actually a nurse. And one thing that really resonated with me when I decided I wanted to go into nursing was she said that, everyone has bad days at work. But when you're a nurse and you have a bad day at work, no matter how bad it was, you can always go home knowing that you helped somebody, you helped someone's health, you helped the family members of that patient. So I think that really inspired me to go into nursing.
I want to add a comment. First of all, there were other questions that have been erased, and I want to make sure that they're asked, so I have good memory. I will repeat them. Number one, Natalia has a comment. Why don't you, can you, I will read it and that's it. Do you know Natalia, all of you? She's a politician. Excuse me that I used that word. She's an MPP. That's more respectful. Do you know her, the students? No? Ifra, can you promote Natalia to speaker? Natalia, not to give a speech, eh? This is not politics now. It's just to say how you got into politics. And meanwhile that she's promoted, there was a question, already you enthused people, because someone asked, and the name is gone now, of are there any positions at NSO? So here you go, you already have a waiting list. So I think that Ifra recorded all. You guys should take that chat, because there are very good comments that you will enjoy, because you have been busy answering our questions and making your amazing remarks, powerful remarks, but you will enjoy the comments. But also you have people in the waiting that you may create shared positions and just bring more those that want to be in the fold.
Mm-hmm.
If are you able to promote Natalia for a second?
Yes, hi Doris, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you so much. I don't want to take away from this discussion because it truly is about nursing students, but I'm so pleased to see my professor Luella here, and that's so nice to see you. And I have to say, both Doris and Luella were instrumental in helping me apply to my master's degree, which I'm so proud to be starting in September to eventually become a nurse practitioner in Ontario. So thank you for both of your support. But Doris, thank you. So I just wanted to say, I was a nursing student just like you, not that long ago, actually. And my first time at Queen's Park, which is the Ontario Legislative Assembly, was actually on a student placement with the RNAO. And I got so inspired by Doris's leadership and other nursing leaders that, the message is speaking out for nursing, speaking out for health. And And I realized that nurses have such a strong voice. You know, we advocate for our patients, but we also advocate within the interprofessional team and in the institutions that we work in. So why not advocate at the level of government? So that's what motivated me to run in politics, and I was successful to seek the mandate of the people of Mississauga Center. But I'm saying this just to say that now I'm seeing more and more nurses run for politics from different political parties. So it's very, very exciting. So if you guys have any passion for politics, or if you have any questions about policy making, it doesn't matter which party you're affiliated with, it really doesn't matter, because we need nurses at all parties and all levels of government if we really want to improve healthcare policy in Canada. So if you ever have any questions about the political process, I invite you to contact my office. I honestly love to be a mentor for young, ambitious people. You know, I've had wonderful mentors like Doris and Luella and many others who have paved the way for me to be in the position that I am today. So I love to be a mentor for you. And I will give you just one little tidbit. I do have a private members bill coming up in September. So if you have any idea about a healthcare policy change or a nursing policy change, any idea that you think, if we did this in Ontario, it will improve our healthcare system, it will make it more equitable, more accessible, please reach out to me. Maybe we could even work together to bring forward your idea into a private members bill. So thank you. Thanks for having me today. I'm very inspired.
I'll probably be calling you Natalia.
That's beautiful, Natalia. And you also heard yesterday Steve Del Duca saying 3 nurses are running for the Liberals. So I just sent a text already to the Premier to get going, because if not, he will stay behind. The most beautiful thing for any of you that will become a politician, it doesn't matter if federal, provincial, or municipal, that you can learn from Natalia is that she never, ever forgot that she is an RN. Never. Anywhere when she speaks, she says that she's an RN. Anywhere that she goes, that, you know, she's not in the legislature because she can't, although she has done it even in the legislature, she puts her pin. So there are other nurses that are in parties that forgot where they came from. And for nursing, for the profession, it is critical not to forget that, right? You don't need to forget that you were a nurse to be a good MPP or a good MP or a good counselor. So
and
please,
actually,
please
people
don't
trust
forget,
you more.
because I will come after you if you do.
If you tell people you're a nurse, they tend to trust you more as a politician. So
there you go.
Thank you.
And the other question was about positions. I don't know if any of you want to answer, if there are any positions and opportunities. I know elections already happened, but there are always ways to accommodate people that want to be engaged. So I don't know if that's Lil that wants to answer, or I don't know who, or any of you.
Well, Lale, she's the current president.
Yeah, so currently in our executive team, we have one committee coordinator who had to leave to actually join the staff nurses interest group. So we were looking to replace that person with somebody who ran, and there were 2 people who tied, just to see. We were going to make that decision with Kenya later on after the AGM. Currently. However, though, there is multiple ways to actually get involved with the NSO, because we get a lot of messages from nursing students asking for these opportunities, and if we have specific events, they are very welcome to message us or even give us some ideas, and we would be glad to have them as guests in our events to talk or to share ideas. We always get throughout the year messages from nursing students about their advice, because at the end, although we have an executive team, we are the same. So all the advice given is appreciated. And we are already very active in social media platforms, and our email address and our contact information is available. If you have any ideas, any suggestions, any feedback, good or bad, please send them to us and we will be able to address them.
I guess also I'll just put it out there that INAG will be taking student positions as well. If someone If there's students out there that are interested in Indigenous health, or if you self-identify as First Nations, Inuit, or Métis, and are interested in being involved, feel free to reach out to us. And there's lots of positions that we're happy to accommodate students.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next session of this section of this session. So we'll go to Rodolfo now.
Yes, so thank you to all our lovely speakers. I'm sure you truly inspired all of us here and to all the participants who shared their questions to our speakers. Now, it is my pleasure to invite our President, Morgan Hoffart, and our CEO, Dr. Doris Grinspoon, to recognize the RNAO Recognition Award for Student of Distinction and Leadership Award in Student Mentorship.
Thanks, Rodolfo. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Morgan Hoffart, and I am the president of RNAO. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. It was a really great panel presentation about the role of student nurses in leadership, and I look forward to working with all of you over the next year. The RNAO Student of Distinction Award recognizes a current undergraduate nursing student who has made significant contributions acting as a change agent, resource, and mentor within his or her undergraduate nursing program. This individual must show active involvement in RNAO region, chapters, or interest groups. It's my pleasure to announce that the 2021 Student of Distinction Award winner is Huda Mohammed. As a student who began in a science program at Western University 6 years ago, Huda Mohammed never thought she would transition into nursing. However, the leap of faith that she took in pursuing this profession has been one of the best decisions in her life, she says. She's inspired every day by the leadership demonstrated by nurses and the positive impact they can have on patients, communities, policy, and healthcare. Huda's involvement with the Middlesex Elgin chapter of RNAO began in her first year of the nursing program when she learned about the organization through Western's Nursing Student Association. Invested in the mission of RNAO, she decided to join as a student representative focused on recruiting other students to join to enhance their knowledge of the association and the profession. I'm grateful to be nominated for this award, and I hope to continue to be a change agent and to inspire others to make positive changes in policy, healthcare, and the nursing profession, she says. Congratulations, Huda.
Hello, everybody. My name is Huda, and I'm a student member and representative of the Middlesex Elgin chapter of the RNAO. I would like to extend a thank you to the RNAO, the Middlesex Elgin chapter, along with Janet Hunt for nominating me for the RNAO Student of Distinction Award. And I hope to continue to inspire others to make lasting and positive change in healthcare, policy, and the nursing profession. So I hope everyone stays safe and well during these unprecedented times, and thank you.
It's over to you, Doris.
Morgan, we are going to change. If you can take it, I just got an urgent call. I will be back in a sec.
Of course I can, not a problem. The RNAO Leadership Award in student, I'm on the right one, in student mentorship is awarded. You got it?
I got it, but I don't have the script. So I'm going to read my heart here.
So do you want me to read what the award is for, and then you can speak about the recipient?
What the award is for, and I can add what the woman is for.
So the RNAO Leadership Award in Student Mentorship is awarded to a registered nurse or nurse practitioner who demonstrates outstanding practice as a nurse educator, mentor, or preceptor in healthcare. This individual enhances the role of the RN and/or NP by encouraging critical thinking, evidence-informed practice, and initiates discussion about important nursing issues that encourage action and change. This individual is resourceful, adapting teaching to maximize learning opportunities that will contribute to student engagement and action.
And I am going to add that Dr. Luella Manankil Rankin is that and more, because she's a mentor par excellence. She's an initiator and an innovator par excellence. She is extremely involved with the BPSO that graduated yesterday, as you know. Luella, you're just an amazing human being. I had the opportunity to spend time with Luella when we went to ICN. She's an extraordinary human being, and therefore I am certain an extraordinary mentor, teacher, and a leader in nursing. Luella, congratulations, and so very well deserved. You're on mute.
Me the Leadership Award in Student Mentorship. I am deeply honored. This award is particularly significant to me as it recognizes the important relationship between mentor and mentee. In the 17 years of my academic life, mentoring nursing students has been a joy. To all my nursing students, from the past and the present, thank you. You remind me always that people matter and that living this principle will change the world. Thank you once again for this prestigious award.
Congratulations again to our winners. This honor is so well deserved, and we are so very proud of you. Thanks again to you, to all of attending for today's session, and to the NSO executive for working with me and RNAO's home office staff to organize the great session. Together, we build leadership for today and tomorrow. See you later at the AGM session at 4 p.m. and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.
And Rodolfo, a special word to you. Sorry, not so fast, because you're retiring from this position. And as we said at the board to you, on behalf of Morgan, the board, myself, and the entire staff, you have moved NSO from strength to even higher strength. And we know you will go far. A leader to watch, a leader to watch. Congratulations. Thank you. You left NSO in fantastic hands. And we know the executive, the new executive will take it even further. That's exactly what leadership is all about, right? From strength to further strength. Thank you, Rodolfo, on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, Doris, and to all. We will see you again. I will see you again. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doris, for everything. You have been my mentor too. You have been a wonderful contribution to my life and my sense of what nursing is. So thank you so much.